So, I would just continue my stories here. I would just say the only things that I wrote in this diary. I think there's a lot that is here, but I would just say those other few things. So, this is 209. So, I just joined this primary school. This was actually my new primary school. I haven't written anything to do with like how I started school, but I can now remember things, but they are not in my diary. I'm gonna read you what's in my diary. You might be asking me, how did you keep those diary up to date? How I kept it? I used to hide it. Yeah, like I used to hide it. Anytime I've written something, as long I know it is my diary, I used to hide it so hard. Even I know like there's nothing to be hidden. This is something I can go like and complain, oh, this is something that has been done to me, but somehow I'll write whatever I've written and then hide my book. I've been doing this up to date. I'm still doing it. I can't leave my diary anyhowly. I know there's nothing too much major about it, but yeah. So I was saying this was my new primary school. So in grade 4 or class 4, standard 4, call it whatever you want it. So I will start with how I was slapped. I was caned by a math teacher and an English teacher. Hey. So what happened when I went to that school? I was supposed to go to standard 3 or class 3 or grade 3. But what happened when you go to that school, you have to do a test. Yeah, when you pass that test, you're gonna go to your class, and if you fail, you might repeat a lower class or something. So I was given a test. We were actually two with our other relative though. Yeah, and who was supposed to be actually in standard 4, class 4. So we were given test. I passed mine. Obviously my other relative obviously passed her test, and she went to her class. But for me, the class teacher for class 3 went to the principal and called class 4 class teacher and told them this student cannot come to my class because she's too bright. Oh, like what is she going to come to do? She already knows everything that is being taught. Like, she was like, oh, let her go to your class. And you know what, this is almost to term 3, because I remember I went and I had like some few weeks, and then I did exams. And yeah, I didn't have a say, and I got to be promoted to class 4 in term 2, almost to term 3. I know nothing, there's no introduction that has been done. There was nothing. You know what, I can't read from this book because I will take like forever. And yeah, so when I went in there, I'm just saying the things that I already in my diary. So first day, not first day, let me say like first week or something, my class teacher, who is a math teacher, one day she was marking our homework or exercise book, and then one morning, I remember this was a morning, I highly believe it was a Monday. Yeah, it was a Monday, I can see the date. So she called me. I say like, Rachel, come here. I stand up. I went, and she was like, why are you failing this? Didn't I teach this? Where were you? Were you not in this class? Oh. She took a cane and I was caned like so hard. What did I wrote? And yeah, my class teacher name was, her name was Madam Mary. And I didn't feel bad about it. She really liked me. And anytime I'm not performing well, she always call me. So this day I didn't feel bad about it. Yeah, so I let go of this thing, but somehow I actually something about math with me. Okay, like I really liked math. I used not to be that student who is so committed, but anytime I fail math, I will make sure that I do corrections and all stuff. So for this teacher, I didn't feel bad about it. So I just wrote it in my diary. The next teacher was English teacher. So this one was like on a Friday, 209. So this teacher we were doing something like um reading reading. So in my class, what used to happen is, if there's a story, I can't even remember what was that thing for. I can't remember what it used to be called. So if there's a story in that English textbook, everybody has to read a paragraph or something. So while other student was reading, one of the students drew me a paper like, and you know, I used to sit in front, so I actually looked back, and that teacher was actually, she was an old teacher. I think like around almost 60 by then. She was, and she have like eyeglasses. So her eyes was just like, and you know what she did? She was like, she was so skinny. She just came like, and you know what? So like, how she grabbed me, she was like, come here. Just imagine, I've never experienced this kind of at home. She grabbed me like this, and she slapped. The slap was so hard, I could not explain myself. I was like, it is not me. She thought that I actually drew the paper. She was like, you're playing in my class? She did this to me. She pinched me. The slap was so hard. I cried. That day, I can't even remember if I really concentrated. I really felt I hated that teacher. And you know, the worst part is, English was my favorite subject. So anytime she comes to class, I used not to participate. Tell me why I won't feel bad when this was not my mistake. Somebody threw a paper. Why did you ask as a teacher? Why didn't you ask what I did wrong? She just came straight, and God, I've never experienced that kind of slap in my life. But yeah, that was one. Two, that is in my diary. Another thing that I wrote in my diary is, okay, I did mention that I wasn't studying in my country. So, should I say I was a foreigner in this country? So, there was a lot going on. So, the next thing that I wrote was, the principal generalizing South Sudanese while we were on parade. Okay, maybe I should say this in the next part. Wait.